Hello everyone, how are you? For those who don't know, this right here is nothing more than a germinated grape seed. Well, not just one, right? Several germinated grape seeds. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you the complete, detailed, step-by-step process, broken down with all the tricks so you can finally germinate your grape seeds, okay? Today's video is spectacular. Go ahead and leave your like and your comments, all right? I'm going to teach you a step-by-step guide with all the tips for you to successfully germinate your grapeseed, from germination and planting to what kind of soil you'll use to plant your seeds after they've germinated. Sounds good. Look how wonderful this is. This right here is already a grape seedling. So I'm going to explain the detailed step-by-step process to you, okay? Follow along with me. It's a complete tutorial. I had an older video, but it was poorly recorded. So now we are re-recording it, answering the many requests from our subscribers, all right? Stay with me until the end of the video because today's content is simply spectacular, guys. So in today's video, I'm going to explain the step-by-step process, a complete tutorial for you to successfully germinate your grape seeds. In this case, we are going to germinate the Niagara grape. I really love this grape. I buy it easily at the supermarket near my house. So I've already germinated several seeds from this grape, and I'm going to explain a detailed step-by-step process here so you can do it too. So now we are going to extract the seeds from the grape. Remove as many seeds as you can, because not all of them, okay? Not all of them will germinate. There will always be one or two that won't make it. But the way I'm going to explain it to you here, you'll be able to germinate most of them. You can be sure of that. If you follow the step-by-step process, catch all the tips, and don't skip through the video, you can be sure you'll have a satisfactory result. And what are we going to do now? Grab a container, okay? A cup or a bowl with water, and we're going to put in the seeds we extracted. The ones that float, you can go ahead and discard, okay? It's certain that those won't germinate, all right? Will the rest germinate? No, not all of them, but you discard the ones that floated because they won't germinate. To speed things up, I've already put them in the sun here. So you're going to place these seeds in the sun. Leave them there for 6 to 8 hours in the sun, okay? And after you take them out of the sun, we'll move on to another process. You can germinate them in two ways. Using cotton, which I believe most people already know about, but the tip is in the trick I'm going to give you, okay? Or you can use paper towels. Even toilet paper works, but paper towels and cotton retain more liquid, right? This makes the germination process easier. In my case here, I'm going to use cotton. I prefer doing it with cotton, okay? But I've also done it with paper towels and it worked too. But I'll do it here with cotton. I'm going to pull off a piece of cotton here, making a sort of blanket, right? Now let's take our grape seeds and place them here on the cotton or on the paper towel if you're using a paper towel. I've already placed several seeds here, and now with the help of a spray bottle, we are going to wet our cotton with our seeds. So you can wet it a lot. You don't need to soak it completely, but you can wet it well, okay? A lot of people do it this way and can't get them to germinate. So I'm going to explain a little secret to you here, and you will succeed. Sound good, so we've already wet it. Now let's take the other piece of cotton, right? The top part. Let's wet it too. But I like to wet it a lot, guys, because I don't usually wet it again later. The whole process goes by without adding more water, okay? Some people water it during the process, right? They keep adding water. I don't water it anymore. The way I do it here, I don't water it again. Only after it germinates will I take it out, but I only water it once. We are going to need a container with a lid. It can be a margarine tub, a Tupperware, okay? Or a plastic bag. I prefer using a plastic bag, guys. I prefer using a plastic bag, but I've done it several times in a margarine tub or Tupperware. But I like the plastic bag because it's easier for us to store. I'll explain why later. So today, guys, I'll be using the plastic bag. We're going to take our cotton that has the seeds in it. In this case, if you're using a paper towel, you'll put it inside the plastic bag or inside your container with a lid, okay? Just like I'm doing here. I like this type of bag that seals well, but it can be any plastic bag. As long as you close it, there's no problem at all. Put some tape on the end of it. If you don't have tape, fold the ends well, no problem. If you want to tie it with string, that works too. If it's a larger plastic bag, just keep folding the end part well and it will close the same way. This is just to create a sort of greenhouse to seal it well, okay? And the next step now is to put it in the fridge. I've actually germinated them outside the fridge before. I've done it once or twice outside. But in the fridge, it breaks that seed dormancy, and the germination process is faster. I'm going to explain the little trick so you can get them to germinate. Some people put it in the fridge and leave it there, forget about it, and then say it didn't work. But I'm going to give you a tip here that always works for me. So I'm going to put it here in the bottom part of the fridge. Don't leave it near the freezer either, guys. Otherwise, it will freeze your seeds, okay? Leave it in the bottom part where it's cooler, and we are going to wait 15 to 20 days. After 20 days have passed, we are now going to remove our mini greenhouse from the bottom part of the fridge. The way I put it in, I left it, I didn't touch it, I didn't open it, I didn't water it. Sound good? And we are going to put it on top of the fridge, on the outside, on top, which for me is the real trick here. Whenever I do this, it works. I put it inside the fridge, it breaks that dormancy, I take it out of the fridge, and now the actual germination process begins. Guys, and after another 15 days have passed, we are now going to open our mini greenhouse inside the plastic bag here. The way I placed it there, I left it and didn't water it. So let's see now if it germinated, how many seeds germinated, how it turned out, and I'll be showing it to you. And I'm practically certain it germinated because I always do it this way, right? After I learned the right way, I rarely mess up. It rarely goes wrong. It always works. So I'm going to open it here. I'll show you. Let's see how many seeds germinated here. Let's open it slowly so we don't break the seeds that germinated, because sometimes the roots end up growing into the cotton. So here you can already see that several seeds have germinated. Look how wonderful. If you leave it longer, leaves will even start growing there. But it's not good to leave it for too long, you know? About 15 days after you place it on top of the fridge or in another cool place, you can check it and you can be sure it has germinated. If it hasn't germinated, leave it a little longer and it will work. Look, it needs to stay in the fridge for a few days to break that dormancy and then be left on the outside. That's how it works for me. That's how it functions. The first ones I left in the fridge actually germinated, but it was very few and took way too long. After I started doing this process, they all worked out. And I'm going to explain to you now how we are going to plant these seeds here that germinated. What is the process? So the video isn't over yet, okay? We are going to remove them carefully here. Use tweezers or your hand very slowly so as not to damage the roots. And why did I tell you to put in as many seeds as possible? Because some didn't germinate, even when we do the process perfectly, some don't make it. But most of them here germinated. I believe you'll be able to germinate more than half by doing this method, using this technique that I'm explaining to you here, guys. And very carefully, we've now removed the seeds that germinated, but really take them out with a lot of care, okay? If you are using a paper towel, wet it a bit more afterward, then it becomes easier for you to remove these seeds that germinated. In this case, it was with cotton, right? So I removed them very delicately so as not to break the roots. But look how spectacular it turned out. And now we are going to plant these seeds that germinated. I'll also show you the step-by-step process here. So stay until the end, don't skip the video. Catch all the tips, you can be sure you'll succeed, guys. So I'll be planting them here, initially in potting mix. I'll leave them for a few days here in the potting mix. I like to plant the seeds directly in potting mix. Potting mix is better for germination. In fact, if you want to buy the potting mix, I'll leave the link to where I buy it in the description. We're going to use a little pot with holes here, as you can see, to drain the water well, right? Look at the germinated seed here. I've already made a hole there, just with my finger. We are going to place the root part a little further down in there. And with the potting mix, it will develop better. Then later, I transfer it to regular soil. Now, if you have good soil too, you can plant it in the soil. But I like to use potting mix. Look, potting mix is great for germinating seeds. That's why I like to use it. But as I said, if you have good soil, you can use soil too. But I leave it here for about 15 days in the potting mix or more. Then I transfer it to the soil. Guys, after a week, 7 days, leave it in the shade, okay? Don't leave it in the sun for the first few days. Leave it in the shade in a spot that gets bright light. Water it little by little with a spray bottle so you don't soak it too much. But don't let it dry out either. Here, it will keep developing in the shade. 20 days have passed, and this is the final result, right? I'm wrapping up the video today, but just look at how this Niagara grape seedling is doing. How spectacular, guys. Always leaving it in the shade, getting bright light, not leaving it directly in the sun. The first few days are important, and it can also happen that some of the seeds you put in the substrate or soil don't develop, okay? Some might even die. That's why it's important to germinate as many seeds as possible. But if you leave them in the shade, just like I said here, watering regularly and not soaking them too much, they will develop. Look, this one took a little longer, see? I'll even show you the seed right here. Look, the seed shell fell off here this week. This week it still had the shell on the leaf, you know? So some take a little longer, others a little less, but they will develop if you leave them in the shade getting bright light. And for watering, preferably use a spray bottle, okay? Because you can't water them too much. If you soak them too much in the first few days, you end up drowning the roots and could even kill them, okay? I've already transferred a seedling that was a little bigger into this small pot with soil. Look, I transferred this one today. This one developed a bit more, so I went ahead and transferred it. It's been 20 days, right? I'm going to put it directly into the soil now. This soil here is dark soil mixed with fertilized soil, all right? In fact, if you want to know where I buy this fertilized soil, I'll leave the link here in the description and in the comments. So I don't use 100% fertilized soil. I mix it with the dark soil I have here, and it gives an excellent result too. I see a lot of people commenting out there saying, oh, it's not worth planting from seed. It takes longer to bear fruit. That is true. If you want fruit faster, you have to do cuttings, air layering, or grafting. Actually, I'll leave the link to those videos at the end of this one so you can do it too if you have access to other fruit trees. All right? But I also understand, guys, that nothing replaces the pleasure of planting the seed, watching it germinate, and seeing the whole growth process of your plant. That is also very satisfying, and I sincerely hope you enjoyed the content, okay? If this tutorial on how to germinate grapes changed your perception of what is possible to grow at home, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. We are revealing the cultivation secrets that many try to hide. Let's plant the future together. The next garden treasure will be revealed soon. See you next time.